You're about to hear a heart-piercing rendition of Haftarat Rosh Hashana by our beloved Sid Rosenberg, who has chanted it for so many years at our temple. I believe that only someone attuned to the spiritual and emotional meaning of the text can produce such a prayer from the depth of his soul. And Sid has been blessed with that kind of neshama soul. Haftarat Rosh Hashana, which comes from the book of Samuel 1, is especially heart-piercing for Jewish women and men who are barren and childless, a minority within a minority. Sid's voice is our conduit to the biblical pleading voice of Hannah, the wife of Elkanah, who expressed her despair to God, crying and praying with such devotion that the high priest who saw her thought she was crazed or intoxicated or both. When Sid chants, he is channeling the cry of those of us hoping to have had children of our own, but we could not. He is praying on behalf of those of us who could not fulfill God's commandment to be fruitful and multiply. Hannah had no children, and she was ashamed of that. Without children, Hannah felt like a failure. Bitter, angry, and desperate, she made a vow to God, Creator of all things, if you will see my suffering, if you will remember me, if you will give me a child, then I will dedicate my child to you all the days of my child's life. Many explanations and suggestions were recorded in our Mishnah as our rabbis discuss barrenness in connection to the tormented character of Hannah. As Rashi taught, for example, the good deeds of the childless become their descendants. The rabbis of the Talmud also taught the childless who teaches Torah to a child of someone else, it is considered as they gave birth to that child themselves. Unfortunately, since Hannah's days, not much has changed. Many Jews who do have children still judge the childless as unblessed, having some sort of inadequacy, failing, or weakness. Many in our community make insensitive and incredibly rude comments like, "You did not try hard enough," or "Why won't you adopt?" and "You will regret not having children in the future." But most hurtful of all is, "What is wrong with you? Aren't you a woman, you selfish, career-driven yuppie?" Whether spoken out loud, implied, or both, these taunts are hurtful and reflect a lack of compassion and respect. But unlike Hannah's era, many barren childless women, men, and couples do find courage and make a decision to have meaningfully spiritual, fulfilling life without raising our own children. We transform our natural drive to nurture children to serve humanity in other ways. In this day and age, women and men are alike. We are given options that allow us to utilize the gifts that were bestowed upon us. Those gifts don't start or end with the giving of birth to our biological children. One example, while I am not a mother to my own biological children, I feel such a gratifying sense of so much nachas, so much joy each time one of our students is being called to the Torah by becoming a bar or bat mitzvah. So when you hear Sid's heart-piercing chant, please remember to be kind to the childless in your midst. No need to ask us insensitive questions or make hurtful remarks. Please remember that what you see on the surface is probably very far from the complete picture. One can never know all the intimate, most private details of another's life. If you are childless, and if at some point you were or are feeling like a failure like Hannah did, may this be your wake-up call. Please remember that you are not a failure. You are not alone. and the choice of how to live your life is yours and only yours to make. Like Hannah, if you can close your eyes and immerse yourself in a deep state of prayer or a private conversation with God, you can find your unique path to fulfill God's commandments while enjoying a full, inspiring, and inspired life. Only you, or you and your significant other, have the power to decide to serve humanity and many of God's children. And unlike Hannah's plea, those gifts don't start or end with the giving of birth to a biological child. As we listen to Sid chant Haftara, let us remember that even though we may not be able to have all that we want in life, we can transform ourselves and our world by our prayers. Now it is my honor to introduce to you the one and only, our beloved Sid Rosenberg.